Hey, welcome back to another video, little portfolio update. So, year to date, we're still doing pretty good. We're up over 18%, which is fantastic in my opinion. We're outperforming the S&P on a yearly basis. In the last month, we have seen just shy of a 5% sell off, and that's not terrible. It's a nice little healthy correction, if you ask me. Most of what has been leveraging my gains, obviously, is Nvidia, Amazon, SoundHound, and then we have a few other laggards, which I'll get to in just a second. But if you know, originally I set a goal to try to break 40,000 by the end of 2024, and of course, I already broke that goal until the market sold off a little bit. So now my new goal is 70, and I do believe that, it's going to be a lot harder to hit that goal considering that I'm splitting a lot of my investments between this Robinhood account and my real estate portfolio, which is in a separate brokerage account. So it's going to be really interesting to see if I can actually hit 70,000 in this Robinhood account by the end of 2024. Time will tell. The market will tell. If the market is in my favor, I think we can pretty much do it. If not, it's going to be tough, but time will tell. So, as you know, just looking at from a year to date basis, of course, Nvidia, SoundHound, and Amazon are my top three winners so far. SoundHound is more of a speculative stock. It's in my eyes a penny stock that I gambled on. I do think it has a lot of potential in the AI sphere in terms of AI voice recognition and dominating the space in franchises in terms of not having anyone work at certain restaurants. It's just literally voice operated technology wise. So I do think they have a lot of opportunity there, and they also dominate a decent space in the automobile industry in terms of software integrated into the car that you can literally ask it questions and it can give you answers. It can direct you to places. It can even create reservations, which is pretty cool. This stock does have a lot of potential, but it does have a lot to prove considering that it is still a small company compared to a lot of other companies who have been in this space for a very long time. But I want to put my faith in SoundHound because it has still performed fairly well year to date. As you can tell, it's outperformed Nvidia, it's outperformed Amazon and Apple, of course. So I'm going to keep contributing to it. I do believe in it long term. As for Nvidia, it's a pretty obvious reason. I'm a big believer in Nvidia, and I've doubled down so many times, and I don't believe that Nvidia can fail at this point, just because they've gotten so much headwinds and so much attention. But the attention doesn't obviously fluff the whole entire stock price. You have to look at the fundamentals, the performance, and how they're performing, and what are their earnings per share, this and all that. And there's so many other things that goes into the stock and the company itself that dictates why people want to buy into it. And to be honest, on a certain note, the hype. There's a lot of hype in Nvidia right now, and is it overvalued? I do think it's overvalued to a certain extent. If you look at the stock, it's up over 81% year to date, and it's on the S&P. It's one of the largest stocks on the Nasdaq, and clearly, it dominates. But is a correction inbound? It's really hard to say considering that a stock like this has run up so much, and it seems to have a lot of support at the levels it's at. But it's hard to know whether or not it's going to sell off. Like I said, I don't know. Only time will tell. And then aside from that, of course, Amazon. I've been doubling down on Amazon. I don't know why. I've just become such a believer in the stock in the last year or so. So you look at a company like this, and they've dipped their toes in, the pharmaceutical sphere, the AI sphere. They're one of the largest like logistic transportation services like we've ever seen, and it's literally a company, right? They own their trucks and this and that, and they're just doing so many things. But they're literally raking in, tens and tens of billions of dollars, and they just continue to grow. And they're literally trying to dominate almost every sphere they touch, which is pretty cool to see, but it's very nerve wracking. And of course, Apple. I just look at this stock and I wonder to myself, why are you lagging so much? But while it's underperforming for the year, I haven't really contributed too much to the stock because I do think that it has a little bit more to go in terms of sell off before it pulls back. And it's pretty simple to say right now, iPhone sales are not doing well. Of course, Apple, is one of my larger holdings compared to Nvidia, because I do believe in the company long term. But when you look at a company like this, there's a lot more to consider than just, oh, they have the best technology and they own the phone space and whatnot. Everyone wants to buy an iPhone. I feel like, in a very simple standpoint, when you look at it from a customer point of view, An iPhone is very expensive. You know, do I want to spend $1,000, 12, however much for an iPhone? Especially in this economy, you look at the price of an iPhone compared to, how much people are making and this and that. A lot of people right now in this economy, I would hope, would want to put that money towards mortgage, rent, groceries, gas, necessities. And while we do know that consumer debt is at its highest that's ever been, I believe credit card debt rose $50 billion, at the end of 2023 in just such a short time frame is very nerve wracking because you're wondering like what are people spending money on that they could buy now but pay later. And then of course now we see that Apple's iPhone, as it says here, that the units have dropped 4% year over year. That's like the first time I've seen it. I don't think I've ever seen iPhone sales drop that much year over year. And I mean, you go to the state of the economy, you go to the jobs that people are working, how much they're making. Oh, we're not making as much money. So, let's not buy a new phone. Let's hold off for a year. And we're not seeing it just in the United States, we're seeing it in China and India. So it's not just the United States. But when you look at it from a worldwide aspect, Apple's going to hurt. And it's going to hurt because the numbers don't lie. One thing that really, really strikes my attention from Amazon, as you know, I've become a very big fan in Amazon as an investor, is the fact that they're investing so much into AI. And this is just the next stage of, research, development, infrastructure, whatnot. And what I like the most is that, whenever I see students, like at my old college, and they're majoring in computer science or they're learning how to code, I ask them, like, how did you get into this? And a lot of them just kind of went into college and just started to, learn it because they're really good at math and whatnot and, computer science. They, learn from an early age. But what I noticed is that Amazon is trying to tailor its almost like its business model in AI towards trying to get the best of the best. They're basically trying to like not poach them, but like headhunt them early and often enough to where they can get the best of the best. Almost like it almost feels like a 10-year game plan if you think about it. Like Lilly, their AI research funding is to be awarded through annual call for proposals. So, we're going to see a huge incentive here for Amazon's push into this AI research. They're going to be funding postdoctoral and PhD fellowships at universities. So if you're in a university and you have one of the largest companies in the world saying, hey, we want to fund your fellowship, because you look like a very promising researcher at this university, you're going to be like absolutely baffled. You're going to be just honored beyond, what you can simply comprehend because it's Amazon. And they're going to try to get you early and often to the point where they have you on their good side and they basically buy you off, you know, figuratively. And then, of course, the boot camps. I see this a lot with computer science people and people who know how to code, whether it's like C Sharp and Python. A lot of them get in early enough to go to these boot camps to where they compress, all this knowledge into, a short time frame and to where they can actually implement that to make it either profitable or teach other people. And it's honestly very strategic. I like the way that Amazon is analyzing this whole entire situation, letting it kind of marinate, to basically produce more cash flow down the road. You're investing in the people now because they're going to make you that much more money down the road. And of course, just to close, I mean, I'm just simply waiting for NVIDIA. I don't know if it's going to break out. Time can tell. You look at a stock like this at its current stock price and you wonder, you're just shy of $900. Are you going to stock split? And I know this is something I talk about a lot, but I do think that NVIDIA is seriously primed for a stock split. I spoke about this back in like January of this year. I said NVIDIA is literally at that stock price where it could literally split. It can split 3 to 1, 4 to 1, 5 to 1, and it would still be a very solid stock price. I was even talking to someone who used to work in the computer chip industry, semiconductor industry, and I said, when you look at a company like NVIDIA, what stock split looks the most reasonable? And he said 5 to 1. And if you look at a 5 to 1 split, okay, that would put it down to, I want to say just shy of 100 and between a 180 and 190, 180, $190. And that would be a very appropriate stock price, in my opinion. But it's kind of hard to measure when you're comparing it to other stocks that are splitting that just caught me off guard. Like, for example, Chipotle, they're splitting 50 to 1. That's going to drop its stock price from around $3,000 to about $60 a share. And then when you look at stocks like Walmart, they were $180 a share and they announced that 3-to-1 stock split. And now they're sitting at around $60 a share. So it makes you wonder, is Nvidia going to surprise us all with a large stock split, or is it just going to keep growing? I can't imagine it keeps growing. I mean, it's basically what it's valued at to like what it should be bringing in terms of sales doesn't really compute evenly. So I would imagine that, you know, you need a period to cool off, maybe have a little correction, sell off a little bit. But I'm really surprised that it hasn't split yet. And I think that come May, end of May, when they're going to be announcing their Q1, you know, earnings, I do think that they may or may not be announcing a stock split to their shareholders. Um, so I guess time will tell, and I'm very excited about this because if they do decide, you know, a 5-to-1 stock split or a 10-to-1 stock split, whichever it is, obviously shareholders will be very excited about it, and you know we're not really going to argue against it. But it would definitely create more volume, and that is what I am looking for. If I can get more volume for what I currently have, although you're literally just splitting the pie, you're not really changing the equity at all. It stays unchanged. You're just getting more volume. I would want more volume over this because now for every dollar goes up, I'll be making more money, and that is pretty exciting. So time will tell. Other than that, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know your thoughts below because, you know, as we now jump into, we are already into the second quarter actually. You know, the portfolio is still doing well year to date, but I do think that there is a lot more opportunity throughout this year. And by the end of this year, although it's election year, I do think that we can finish off strong. So let me know below. And of course, as always, stay safe and happy trading.